Welcome, everybody. It is green and gold over everything, and this is episode 16. And you know, we we come into this week with some positive vibes. Why? Because somehow your boys decided to make it into the playoffs. They fought hard. They got there, and we got a lot to get into today. I got my guy Randell Burns. I got my guy Dishon Rucker. We about to get into all of this. We're gonna break everything down. I think we have a Goody Man report today. It's going to be a lot getting into all of that today, but we're excited. It is time for Green and Gold over everything on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Let's get ready for a 4-1, y'all. We are here, green and gold over everything here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And look, I'm excited because when we started this thing so long ago, we didn't know exactly what we were going to bring to it each and every week, but it's been a fun ride. And now we are here, episode 16. We're in the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers made the playoffs. And there were some times this year where it looked a little grim, and it was like, all right, time to get ready for the rebuild, straight up rebuild, get everything rocking and rolling, and just go from there. And the boys pulled off a couple games in a row, knocked out the Super Bowl champs, took an ugly loss or two, still found a way to sneak into the playoffs with a win in Week 18 versus the Chicago Bears. With me today, my guys. I got my man Dishon Rucker at the bottom, from the Don't Shoot the Messenger crew, aka the Ruck Report, in the building. My guy, Goody Man himself, Mr. Randell Burns, hashtag draft and develop. He done brought out the chain. It ain't got serious, y'all. I'm so glad to have the fellas with me today. And what we're breaking down today, obviously, is a recap of last week's game, but it's gonna be a little bit more than that. And we have to talk about the playoff game that is ahead of us on Sunday at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. But as you see on the screen, the Packers win 17-9. And it was not a game where you could sit back and say, oh, we're just going to sit here. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be fine. Hey, man, it was stressful. It was a very stressful game. I remember I'm at the game, Commanders and Cowboys, so watching the future opponent. It was funny at times because I'm on the sideline, or at the end of the game, you can hear the Dallas guys talking like, oh man, we either gonna have the Rams or the Packers. The Packers won. Then I'm like, yeah, that's right, the Packers. That's what I wanted to say because I'm right there, and I wanted to yeah, Dak, be ready. That's what I wanted to say because I was right there beside him. And I had the chance to be like, yeah, what you want? Anyway, so we're sitting there. They're talking about it, and and I heard one of the guys say, man, I really hope it's the Rams. That Green Bay luck just ain't good in Dallas. And I said, yeah. But it was one of the assistants. I don't know who said it, but he said it. Besides the point, fellas, I'm glad to have you all here with me today as we recap this game. Ruck, I'm gonna let you go first, but you don't want to go first. Okay, and I know why.
You gotta give it.
You gotta give it.
We've been suffering through this.
Yeah. So
you gotta give it to Goody Man.
Got to give it to Goody Man. Goody Man is.
I graciously bow to the Goody Man.
He has been salivating, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you now, this is serious business. What's about to go down is serious business. So
serious.
I give the floor before we talk about the game. Give the floor to hashtag Draft and Development, aka Goody Man himself, Mr. Randall Burns. Sir, the floor.
I just want to make sure you can hear me. Can I hear? Can you hear me properly?
We can hear you perfectly, sir.
So, what if I told you there was a kingdom? And in this kingdom, they'd done everything the same way for years. And then an interloper came who felt like he was from this kingdom, like he had a right to the throne. Thought he was a god, but in reality, he fostered a culture of negativity and took only his most loyal soldiers with him when he left. But the true king of this kingdom had to make a tough decision and say, I need to do what's best for the kingdom. And our beloved Brian Gutekunst had the foresight, the strength, the courage to do what was best, not only for the kingdom, but the citizens of the kingdom. So I'm going to need a lot of apologies from all the naysayers. And when I say naysayers, you know exactly what I really mean. Except for Mina Kimes and except for Todd McShay. Because on draft night, they saw it. Before the pick even came in, as soon as the Packers got on the clock, she said, Jordan Love. It's the perfect spot for Jordan Love. High upside. And then McShay chimed in, said, needs to tie the feet to his eyes. And when the pick was made, you had people talking about, he got to start tomorrow. Or maybe he got to start in a year. I mean, the cops said, no, he'll start in 2023. I said, my God, this woman's a genius. And then you had a lot of people over the year. This is crazy. They wasted a first-round pick. We need an owner. But you know what the owner would have did? The owner wouldn't have let that pick be made. He'd have said, this Aaron Rodgers fella making me a lot of money. I like money. Or he would have said, well, now we got to get Rodgers, and this 10 character got to start. For Packer fans, I need you to understand the beauty of the fact that we don't have an owner is you are always going to have football people making football decisions. It ain't going to come down to money. It ain't going to come down to internal nonsense. It is going to be what's in the best decision of this franchise. The Ron Wolf, Ted Thompson, now Brian Gutekunst way is here to stay and is not going anywhere. This is further proof that this works. I have been listening to nothing but Chicago Bears radio for the past 4 days, loving it. They can't keep getting away with this. How did this? This is not fair. One radio host was talking about this is further proof that Justin Fields is trash. This man, Jordan Love ain't played football in 3. Matter of fact, let's be honest, 4. Because Robb Demoski said it. Remember that COVID year, there's no mini camp, there's no rookie camp. And then he said that next season when Love came in, and this is why I think Devontae might have left, he said Love couldn't get that ball 10 yards down the field without it looking like a wet duck. Said it looked absolutely horrendous in training camp. Then he said in 2022, he came back, and that's when Goot knew, oh, this guy could start right now. Whatever work he did in the offseason, I don't know if he went and snorted a line, steroids, something. The boy came back, and he found it. And Goot said in 2022, he could have started. But he held on. He said, no, I got a plan. Got to protect the kingdom. And we have been blessed. It is all paid off. If the goal is to compete every year, then the Ron Wolf way works. With the exception of a year Aaron get hurt, or he was disrespecting the head coach, Mike McCarthy, and changing plays at the line of scrimmage, who now it looks like, oh, the man can coach. Aaron was just a disrespectful bastard. We always were able to compete. Or maybe you didn't get the vet free agent that you wanted, or you didn't get the wide receiver you wanted, but you have always competed. Let me tell you something right now. The last 15 Super Bowl winners, Giants, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Green Bay, Giants, Baltimore, Seattle, New England, Denver, New England, Philly, New England, Kansas City, Tampa, LA Rams, Kansas City. Of all those teams, is either an elite quarterback or a quarterback playing at elite level for 4 or 5 games. And in the case of Denver, a Peyton Manning with a broken neck but a historic defense. But in all of that, the only person doing it consistently over and over again is Tom Brady. But in all of that, the Green Bay Packers are always competing. The Jets are still looking for their heir apparent. The Dolphins are still looking for the next Dan Marino. Not us, though. The divine right of a Green Bay Packer fan is you know that you're always going to have a quarterback. And that's all. That's Brian Gutekunst's job. Make sure that when you go to bed at night and you lay your head on your pillow, you don't ever have to worry, oh, God, who we got to draft? Who we got to trade for? No. Because when you go to ESPN or you go to GreenBayPackers.com, he's right there. And that man's Jordan Love. Collected since week 10 in every main stat, whether it's regular or advanced statistics, he's top 3. You know where he's bad at? He ranks 31st, throwing the ball outside the pocket. Because that's not what a quarterback's supposed to do. He ain't a regular naysayer. He's a pocket passer. Now, if he wanted to give you a little razzle-dazzle, he could, because, you know, he got his daddy genes. But that man ain't supposed to be playing outside the pocket. Let me go back to these list of quarterbacks. It's only one naysayer up here that won a Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, right.
He half a naysayer like Jordan. And Brian saw it. He said, you know, I need a little naysayer at quarterback. So let me get a half a naysayer. I don't need a whole. I don't need you running around, razzle, Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton. You need a little bit. You need a 4-4. I don't need a 4-2. Because then you might not be able to read defense. And boy, that boy could read some defense. That boy be dropping back. Doop, 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 doop. America's on their ass. Meanwhile, you saw it. Justin Fields. Oh, I don't know where to go with the ball. Oh, God, what am I do? I'm sacked. Bears fans crying. They can't keep getting away with this. Lions fans like, oh my God, we're gonna pay Jared Goff $200 million for what? Vikings fans, they got 4 different quarterbacks. Tried to trot out a naysayer. That ain't work. They took him out the second half. So on behalf of me and everybody in the kingdom, you're welcome. So we did it. We did it again. These naysayers ain't gonna say thank you, but I'm gonna say thank you. Halfway through the season, we gotta get rid of this person. We gotta get rid of that. The youngest team in the modern era to make the playoffs. That man finished with a season that ranks up there with Patrick Mahomes, Kurt Warner. We did it. We can't anymore.
Yeah, let a naysayer know. Let a naysayer know.
And putting us over the cap and getting Mike Evans or some what? No, we don't got a true number 1 receiver because we don't need one. Oh, it's Dontavian Wicks today? Cool. Bo Melton? I don't give a damn. Tucker Kraft?
Somebody.
Not Bo Melton up there talking about we having dinner at Jordan Love house every Monday. Quay Walker talking about, I only been here 2 years, but we tight knit. Bo Melton specifically said, if it wasn't for being at this man's house every Monday watching film, eating dinner, we would not be as tight-knit. Sean Ryan said John Ryan said he's been there 4 years. He said, this team has not been this tight-knit the entire time I've been here. I'm going to say this again. And this came from Robb Demovsky, talking about 12. That man fostered a culture of negativity and took his most loyal soldiers with him to New York. And you had people on this podcast talking about, we could use a Lazard. That man ain't played 4 games. They said, you know what? You go sit on the bench of street clothes.
Bruh.
Adrian Amos, you can go lead. Randell Cobb, we don't need, you can sit in street clothes too. Billy Turner, you can go sit in street clothes as well. Them dudes couldn't even play for the Jets. The goddamn Jets. And they stink. I listen to this every day.
What?
What was Alex Lar gonna show these dudes? They're looking at you. If you don't sit your tight end ass down, I'm gonna go catch some passes.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
Hey, I'm gonna let y'all talk.
Look, so here's a funny thing. Like when I went up to the Jets game, I did, Alan Lars is the only one I saw. I did not see Cobb. I did see Aaron, and I didn't see any of the other guys. That's so funny. Ruck, I'm gonna go to you because I know you have some stuff to say here. What are your thoughts about the so eloquently put by Goody Main himself? I'm sorry, y'all.
Listen, start off like this in the immortal words of Big Pun in response to Goody Man, Basura. It's trash, baby. It's trash. Listen, no, I'm gonna give Goody Man a little bit and Goody Man I mean by Mr. Burns, not actual Goot.
Oh, okay.
We all know what I would like that young man to do. I have a medium Nike tracksuit right now, all black, no reflectors on it or nothing, and it's dark outside. He can use that.
Oh, shoot.
Listen, here's the thing. We all talked about, whether it was on our chat or on the pod, that we have seen the growth of a young team that for us, or I just say me, has been inspiring in some moments of the season and then very frustrating at a lot of moments of the season. For them to get hot at the right time was a great thing to see, watch and grow. For Jordan to play like he's played over the last 5 games, you got to give the boy the credit he deserves for putting in the work. Now, I know Goody Man, our Goody Man, is going to tell you that the yellow fellow does everything right. He's going to tell you that. But there are a couple of people, a couple of pundits that are reporting that, yes, he has done some things like having the offense over on Mondays and on Tuesdays. But no, it's not every Monday and every Tuesday. The 3 guys in the Packers podcast did a thing where they talked about it happens at least once or twice a month. But you're right. You're right, because Aaron didn't do these things. And you know what? The things that Aaron did
on his coach.
Hey, but listen, but here's the thing. You're right. In some respect, Aaron didn't do the things to collectively bring the group together because Aaron had his guys. So for his guys, he made sure his guys were good. But guess what?
That sounds like a problem to me.
No, listen, you know what it is? It's not only the evolution of a quarterback, it's the evolution of Packers quarterbacks. Because Brett did things that 12 didn't do. And 12
like did get along with everybody.
Listen, hold on. In 12, listen, he got along with everybody, but he also, kept one of the poorest states in the country even poorer.
It ain't got nothing to do with football.
But it got something to do with him.
It ain't got nothing to do with football. Hey, OJ in the Hall of Fame.
So
I just care about what you do on the field.
Everything centers around the way that you lead.
I can't say nothing
Goody
to
Man, you had your rat. Let me go. So everything centers around the way you lead. And what we can say is he's been able to sit back over the last 3.5 years and pick out and put together his plan of how he wants to lead. And guess what? For right now, and what it looks like for the foreseeable future, it's working and it's great, right? Like I told you at the beginning when we were off air, there's a reason I wore the OKC hat, right? Because there are ways that you put teams and things like that together. Here he go. Here he go.
On-field stuff only.
Okay. All right. So listen. All right, bet. So we're gonna go to on-field stuff only, right? So if we're gonna go to on-field stuff only, and I don't want to nitpick, listen, there was a lot of things that he left on the table on field on Sunday that he could have figured out. There were scoring plays that we left on the field and before going into the half and in the second half that he could have done. But again, this is the progression of a young quarterback. So he gets those areas to make mistakes. Again, I have no complaint at all with what 10 is doing. And I told you guys collectively at the start of the season, hey, I'm on the 10 train. Because I'm not like the LeBron fan that goes where LeBron goes. I'm a Packer fan. So that's I'm going to be here. Right?
Can I ask you a question?
Please, naysayer, do it.
Let us they say.
The great Brian Gutekunst turned our
Oh,
second round. I'm just asking a question. He turned our second round pick into Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and Carl Brooks. He don't get no credit for that.
hey, let me ask you this. Okay,
Get
I'm just
credit
saying
for
he
it.
don't get no credit for taking one pick.
I'm going to answer your question.
Yep.
Here's my point, right? You get your son up in the morning to go to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to school and he says, Dad, I had a great day at school and I did my homework. You give him a cookie for that?
You goddamn right. 2024
You was a
positive.
naysaying lie.
I'm gonna tell
You
you.
was a naysaying lie. You don't
And you
do
know who
that.
taught me that?
Because
You know
you
who
tell
taught me
that
that?
young boy,
You
you
know who
said
taught
this
me
is
that?
what you're supposed to do. And if you
Oh,
don't
nope,
do what
nope,
you're
nope, nope.
supposed to do, you
A
going to
woman
get
from
something, naysayer.
A woman from Jersey taught me that. One of your people. She said it's 2024. These little millennial kids ain't like us. You ain't gonna whoop them and they're just gonna do what you tell them to do. You're gonna
Positive
give these kids
reinforcement.
credit. You're
Hey,
gonna praise these
listen.
children. So hey, my man took
Listen.
a pick and turned it to 3 contributors.
So listen, and here's the thing, and we said this in our chat earlier. So I gave your Goody man some credit. He's been able to make some strategic moves during the season and hit things out the park. Rasul Douglas, Campbell, Bo Melton, apparently, right?
Beautiful trade too.
Huh?
I said beautiful trade too.
I still have I don't know about that yet. We'll see.
I don't know, man. I
We'll
don't know how I
see.
feel about the Douglas thing. Yeah, I'm
We'll
still a little
I'll
salty
explain
about
why
that.
later because he don't
We'll
fit with
see.
the 2025 plan.
We'll see, but and I get again, hence why I would have had. I understand the business acumen that has to be applied to a franchise to keep it moving into the future. I understand that at some points you need to leverage the future or leverage right now for the future, right? I get all that, but what I'm saying is what needs to happen is that football moves need to really be made by football people. We're not seeing actual, besides Ted, right? Goot really isn't making football moves. He's making business moves, which
What are you talking about? You making
coincidentally
football
needs.
moves?
Listen, hold on, because coincidentally, this is now the parallel in sports. Remember, Moneyball came out about what, like 10 years ago? You have so many statisticians and analytics that are now in the realms of sports that this is what leads them to make certain decisions, right? You just said that because of a shortened 2020 season, that Jordan Love probably didn't get the full look that he would have gotten, right? But guess what analytics led to? This is a safe pick. And it's a safe pick because we got 12. The one thing that Packers fans have to always be aware of is that we are the only franchise in the NFL that has been fortunate and blessed with Hall of Fame after Hall of Fame quarterback since I've been watching. And
It ain't luck though.
We might have it. So listen, here's the thing. I'm not saying it's total luck, but if Brett Favre doesn't have an addiction problem in Atlanta, he doesn't come to Green Bay. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't mess up at Cal and go to JUCO, you know what I'm saying, or go to JUCO and then go to Cal.
Do you know where Ron Wolf was at? Do you know where Ron Wolf was at when he was scouting Brett Favre?
Where was he at?
He was working for Atlanta. He told him to draft that man. Like, these aren't luck things.
He told
he was working for the Falcons. He told him that was his pick.
Okay, but
so
listen, before Aaron got to Green Bay, right? Aaron had a lot of problems. And think about this. Green Bay, at the point before Aaron and Ron came, had the Aaron Parrott and Todd Majowski. The guy. The blonde-haired guy.
How many quarterbacks did we draft while Brett was still here? Randell, Aaron
Detmer.
Brooks, Matt Hasselbeck, brought in Kurt Warner. This is not like, no, this is what we do. And guess what? Jordan I think it was after Rodgers' second year. They took Brian Brown in the second round. They're always going to do this. It's always going to be, look, this is the priority.
Yeah.
Are not bigger than this team.
It is because we're a franchise that believes that we can solely build a championship team by drafting them. And I'm not saying that that's a wrong philosophy. I'm saying that happens to be the philosophy that's been handed down. But we've also seen in a lot of those championship teams that you mentioned, that you had on your list, have a different philosophy in building championship contenders. Like Brady always got the pieces that he wanted, but he also had some pieces in there that
No,
had
he
star
didn't.
power.
When did he
Listen,
start getting pieces he wanted? Not till Morse. And then after the Morse thing went bad, then they started bringing the offensive pieces. For the most part, it was, you're going to do this on the cheap, buddy.
listen, he was always doing it on the cheap, but there were other players that were added to that roster that were solid players coming in. You mean, listen, New England doesn't get one of those championships or doesn't survive the month of December unless they made the trade the year before to get Corey Dillon. Right? Like these things happen, but those things happen for all different types of teams outside of the green and gold. Which
But
is
as we
why
look at these teams, right?
Which is why I'm not totally against how this is kind of flowing out for us, because we've had the youth take a step in a positive direction. They have a leader that is collectively saying we need the entire team together. I'm not off the bandwagon. I'm not. But what I'm saying is, and I've said this to you off air a lot of times, it can't, just like it's not for all those other teams that you mentioned, be good enough for us to just contend. Like before we got on this podcast and we're having this show, we were all talking about our frustrations with how this was turning out because we needed some of those things to stabilize this young core, right? We were fortunate in the football guys blessing us with an unbelievably trash schedule that we can pull it together like we did. But we were all on the chat and all on the call after the Atlanta game saying, what is this?
Yeah, Atlanta stuff was
right?
Atlanta stuff was rough.
We were all scratching our head with the Raiders game. We were all saying, you know what, Detroit is just Detroit, right? But to their credit, and it's all their credit, these young guys have figured it out, which is great. Which even gives me so much of the, not only the joy, but the confidence in going into Dallas and saying, you know what? They're young enough to get it done, and they're young enough not to remember any of the other stuff that happened with any
Real
of
quick,
these other teams.
who brought
In
them
the
young
spring.
guys in that's doing so well? I forgot for a second. Somebody was making that phone call.
This is the point where I'm just here so I don't get fined.
It was real smoothly done there by Goody Nate.
My only thing though is like, look at these list of these teams, right, that won the Super Bowl. New England is primarily draft and develop. Kansas City, that's primarily draft and develop. Pittsburgh, they're just like us. They're gonna draft and develop. The dudes that keep repeating, and I think about what Bill Parcells says, you got to build a solid core. You go grab a free agent or two when it's time to get over that hump. Like, look at Philly. They got that one Super Bowl, and now it's let's bring in all these mercenaries. And that shit's falling apart. That shit's falling apart. Meanwhile, Goot was like, let me get as many of these naysayers as I can, build them up. Matt, like, I love all these naysayers. I will say this. I don't know what the hell he was thinking with that kicker. I got it. His brother's the all-pro.
But he ain't the all-pro yet. Or it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It doesn't look like
that's the one. Like, I looked at him, I said, hey, B, man, I don't know what you was thinking on this one. And he said, hey.
I'm sorry. Look, I will say
Mason
this.
Crosby's on the practice squad for the Giants. Maybe you call him up, like, I need you for the playoffs.
I would do it. I'm not even going to sit here and be funny. I haven't been, even when Crosby was having his moments, I was like, oh boy, but it's still Crosby. Like, I still had faith in Crosby. This guy right here, I don't know what to feel when he comes to kick. I'm like, man, he might miss this. And he's done it quite a bit this year. And it just felt like there were games where, some of those games, it probably cost us because he couldn't do certain things. Now, look, he may be ice cold in the rest of the playoffs. I don't know. I need him to get things rolling. And see, kickers are different than any other position. When you start messing up at a kicker, because that's your job. It stays. So he's got to figure something out, especially the Packers are going to have to figure out, especially depending on how this playoff run goes, if it's a long run, how he performs in Dallas, if he's going to be a long-term solution there, because yes, he does have the genetics of an all-pro kicker, but man, it has been spotty At
He needs
best.
competition no matter what next offseason. Like you have to bring a guy who's
I
moving the
agree
field.
1,000%, and I would not be against bringing Mason Crosby in on the practice squad. I would not be against it at all.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that has to continue to happen as a trend with this team. And you just said it, Burns. Like, and it's the same thing again that happened in OKC. Everything from this point on has to be a competition in camp.
Yep.
Everything.
So
because with these young players, with the exception of 10, right? But again, we have to have the foresight to say that, listen, 10 is probably going to be our guy. How are we going to handle his situation?
So
because they have to start thinking about that.
He spoke,
right?
and they can't sign a contract with him until after May 2nd because he didn't do the 5th-year option. It's some weird rules, but he said he's spoken to Russ Ball, the guy that does the cap and the contracts. He's like, it's already something we've discussed. They asked him if the progress of the team this year jumps up the 2024 timeline, and he immediately said no. He said 2 reasons. He was like, they need to see what the cap number becomes for next year. And in a not so subtle way, he says we have to figure out what's going on at tackle, which to me sounds like it's either 69, you're gonna have to restructure this,
or you gone.
He did say, look, if that guy comes back and he's playing at an all-pro level, cool, no problem. But he was like, the reason he doesn't want to jump the 2024 thing is like, I want to get another solid draft class to come in and bolster what we already have and get the money off the books and go all in. They asked him about Rasul, and he was like, I love Rasul, but he was like, I think he's turning 30, if he's not already 30, and it was able to get 10 million. He was like, it's able to get 10 million off the books. And he was really happy with the way Valentine was playing.
No, so listen, again, like I said, you can see what his idea is. It's the same thing that Presti had in OKC. The one thing that you have to guard against is as you start to build and have this youth movement, you're going to get duplications at every position. And you're going to get duplications that, like you said, need reps. And then you're going to get guys that get reps and do great things with them. And then how do you continue that? How does that affect the second unit and the third unit? People on the practice squad, you know, and then there are going to be contract discussions that happen and come across, right? If they don't learn from our future, if Goot doesn't learn from our past mistakes, they will continue to be revisionist history. If you don't take care of 10, you're going to have the same problem you had with
he said the contract's being worked on, but I will say this. If you've noticed, almost nobody gets a third contract. And they asked about Kenny, and he was like, that's something they'll take into consideration, but we got to consider age. So I'm going to tell you this right now.
But now we have to discuss that. That's an overwhelming trend in the NFL right now. How many players did we see on this Sunday that are star power players saying Derrick Henry, Sterling Shepard, you know, I mean, just to name a few that are saying, and now here it is again, with a young team, you're going to say to Kenny Clark.
That's a tough one to swallow. I understand. I understand the youth movement. I'm still gonna be that person that says we need a few. We got to have a few on there, especially with this defense. Because I mean, it's at times the defense play really well, and then there's the Panthers game, and then there's the Buccaneers game. There's some games you're like, what is this? And then you see Kansas City. Oh, okay, so it's back and forth with that. Now, with the game on Sunday, real quick. With the game on Sunday, 17-9, and we see the Packers going there. Defense plays well. They do a really good job of holding Justin Fields and that Bears team at bay. Now, I really thought that it might be a little bit of a higher scoring game. And to be honest with you, the way it was looking, I felt like Green Bay should have won this game probably by 2 more touchdowns. But that's just me personally. And I wasn't even watching.
You're right.
Fully haven't watched the game. But let's talk about the offensive player of the game and defensive player of the game. Love is building a streak. Of the week. And that's where I was going next. The offensive player of the week in the I believe in the NFC, maybe not all of NFL, but I can't remember which one it was, but I know he definitely had the NFC. 27 for 32, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 128.6 quarterback rating. The only blemish for me was the fumble. Because I think that fumble one, and I think God bless him, I think he was trying to get out of bounds, and he made the wrong move, and that helmet popped, knocked the ball out. And that was the only blemish in my opinion. Other than that, it was almost a flawless game from Love. And, it's crazy. I think they could have put up more points, but that's also another element of the young team. Now, I also want to shout out some of the other players that did well here. Aaron Jones, who, man, when he's healthy, man, he is a godsend on the running back position. 22 carries, 111 yards, no touchdowns, but he's averaging 5 yards a carry, which is critical because that opens everything else up for Love. Jaden Reed, another great. Now, this young receiving core. You just have to smile inside your heart. Jaden Reed, 4 receptions, 112 yards, averaging 28 yards per reception. Bo Milton, who I know, Goot did a really good job finding this young man. 5 receptions, 62 yards. They sent Torrey, you on the injury reserve, buddy. I don't know if you heard or not. You're on injury reserve. We bring Milton up. Dontavian Ricks, my guy from UVA, 6 receptions, 61 yards, 2 TDs for Wicks. Aaron Jones collects another 5. Malik Heath, another name that comes out there. He had 3. And Musgrave, who's slowly coming back in the game, he had a catch in the contest.
What I'm loving,
Kraft 3 receptions for 31 yards. So the young guys stepping up big, making great plays. So that's a good thing to see. On the defensive front, you saw Quay Walker had a really good day. He had a sack, 6 solo tackles, leading the way for the Packers in that. But I think as a collective group, they did a really good job of holding Mr. Justin Fields. And I just thought it might be a really good day for DJ Moore. And none of that came to fruition. And this Packers team went at home. Same scenario from last year, said, you know what, not this time around. And yes, you made fun of Jordan Love for how he said Happy Father's Day during the summertime, but who is your father now?
Don't forget my boy, Lucas Jan 6.
Yeah, I'm telling you, right. So I like what I saw from the team. Let's see, no wide receiver lift it up, in the first round ever. There you go. No, see, at least since 2002, the Javon Walker days. It's been about 21 years since they drafted a receiver in the first round. So, but with all that being said, great job by Green Bay. They get into this playoff game against Dallas. And as a Packers fan, in some cases, I'd be a little bit, I'm going to be worried about this game. I think you all will be worried about this game because, hey, guess what? It is a playoff game and you want to win. And Dallas looks good. I saw them in person this week and they destroyed Washington. Now, Washington's not a good team. So it's really not a really good representation. But we've seen what the Packers have done against this Cowboys team in the last, I think I saw it earlier. I think 9 of the last 10 in Dallas or in general, the Packers have beaten this team. They beat them last year with the young guys and Aaron. And I'm going to be honest with you. The way Love is playing right now, if he can keep that going, I can't see why they can't win this game on Sunday. I can't see why they can't win this game on Sunday. This game is going to be a big one in Dallas. And, a lot of Dallas fans are coming into this one feeling like, they're on top of the world. They're on top of the world right now. They think, I think a lot of them are thinking, oh, it's we should win this one, move on. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I truly don't think it's going to be that easy for Dallas on Sunday. They may win, but I don't think the Packers are going to let them get it easy. And I think we really get a chance to see Jordan Love take an extra step this weekend. And I'm excited to see what he can do. Win, lose, or no draw, but win or loss. I'm really excited to see what him and the young team can do this weekend.
I'm excited to see what Matt is going to do. I need to see what Matt is going to do because I need to see if he can prepare and put together a game plan, his coaching staff, that really looks at what Dallas has to offer. Jordan Love has every bit of the skill set, the pocket skill set that Burns talked about earlier, to duplicate somewhat what Tua does in Miami and get the ball out. I think that is the key to a Dallas victory. If we can get the ball out and kind of nullify their pressure with Parsons or continue to make them move him around, I think we stand a good chance. If we continue to get the pop and everything that we've gotten from Aaron since he's come back, again, it makes us a formidable opponent. But here's the thing. For a young team, again, we're playing with house money. There is absolutely no pressure on us during this game.
None.
And we should perform, right? But all the pressure does lie in Dallas. If they get down, they're going to have to start pressing, right? So I'm just hoping that we get a good game plan from our coaching staff on both sides of the ball. Listen, Barry, whatever you had last week, please eat that again.
It wasn't Barry.
Whatever you thought of last week.
Matt said he was in the defensive room.
You said Matt was in the defensive room on.
Asked him what changed. He was like, he's been sitting in the defensive meetings, making sure certain stuff is done.
Hey, Matt, listen. You sit at the table and you hand him a pen. Do that again.
Whatever it was, do it again.
Whatever it was, do it again.
Yes. And you know, it's gonna be huge, man. Like, you know, Jair, you know, real quick before you see the reporter not know who he was. I thought that was great. How do you not know who Jair Alexander? She looked at it, there's a fan. My man came out there and then ran away. And I'm like, you don't know that's Jair Alexander? Okay, but anyway, that
boy weird, man.
He is a weird guy, but I need him to lock down CeeDee Lamb this week. I don't care what. If anybody else is going to beat us, let it be anybody else. Don't you let CeeDee go off. I'm telling you, he's special. And I mean, and I don't know, keep bringing it up, but like last weekend was crazy. And they know they're playing a terrible Washington defense, worse in the league. But I mean, slicing and dicing. I mean, making great plays, and he was just out there. They were killing him.
You know what worries me about him, D? And what worried me watching that Dallas game against Washington? Brandon Cooks. He's the one for me that defensively, like, we really got a key on. Like, and this is going to sound crazy, fellas, I know. I am totally fine with CeeDee getting 14 catches for 229 yards.
Yeah, like you can't stop him.
I'm fine with it as long as we don't get the splash plays from Brandon Cooks, because that's what I think gives Dak the comfort level to start throwing different things to CeeDee, and now the defense is rotating into different zones, right? But again, Dallas is going to be Dallas, everybody. So I just feel like in a wild card game, it's Dallas. We should feel good, man. We young. Listen, we ain't supposed to be at the party. We the wedding crashers.
Fact.
Let's go.
What worries me is,
like Denzel said, you know me, I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
The way McCarthy runs his West Coast offense and spreads everything out in the crossers, you're going to get linebackers matched up on dudes they got no business being matched up on. And my fears is going to turn into the Tampa Bay game again.
Oh, no. That's what I don't want. I just want them to compete, like truly compete. If they go into this game and it becomes a Tampa Bay game, I'm going to be highly upset. I want something to – I mean, as a enthusiast, I want to go into the game feeling like, or throughout the game, like, hey, man, we lost this game, but we fought hard. And I need something positive looking towards the future. I don't need to go in there and get demolished by Dallas in Dallas. That is not going to be something that's going to leave a bitter taste in my mouth, even though I'm not expecting, like, I'm not going in there like, oh, we got this game. You know, I mean, mentally as a fan, yeah, you say that, but I need to see them compete. You know, like we said all year, we just want to see them compete. We need to see them continue to get better. If they lose on the last second field goal, I can deal with it. If they fight hard, they were in the mix. It's one thing here and there, I can deal with that. But they have to show that they're going to be ready next season, the year after that, to take the leaps and move on. And see, all the pressure's on Dallas. You guys are 100% correct. All the pressure's on Dallas. They asked Jerry Jones like day before yesterday about McCarthy's job status. Like, you know, he was like, well, we don't know exactly, you know, what we're doing on that. So, like, that's not a vote of confidence. I want to hear from my owner. Oh, no, he's good. You know, another great season. We won a division. You know, they don't care about that. They want to go to the NFC Championship again. They want to go to the Super Bowl. And if they lose to Green Bay, McCarthy's gone. He's gone. Heck, Dak, I don't know if Dak be gone, but it's a strong
Dak ain't
chance
gonna
that they're gonna start changing things down there. And at the rate that they're firing coaches and letting go the Pete Carrolls of the world and the Mike Vrabels of the world, Jerry might get the itch and say, I want to go grab this person. So
Hey, listen,
a lot of pressure.
You heard it here first. If Dallas loses this game, it's going to be Black Monday for Mike McCarthy, and the first name that's going to be on that list is Eric Bieniemy.
He's not hiring. That man ain't hired a black head coach. He's not hiring him.
Watch.
He's not.
Watch.
I'll put money on that. I'm guaranteed he's not doing that.
Man, that would be insane.
You want to do a case of Mountain Dew?
How much?
A case of Mountain Dew?
A case of Mountain Dew.
I ain't gonna have no naysayer running my team.
Hey, listen, man. Just the way, and the reason I say that, I know that's wild and out there, but I mean, think about what we've kind of seen just in the last 24 hours. Like Pete Carroll, they're making him step down, but they're saying, listen, we want to keep you in the organization.
As an
Mike Vrabel, that had out of a 6-year career, he really did a lot for Tennessee, and you got to go.
I mean, it's crazy because
once they brought the new GM in, you know that was coming. Like a GM wants his guy.
Yeah, but it's still weird because 4 years. I mean, and he had, I guess you could say, the last 2 years they struggled and he could, do it. But those first 4 years he was cooking. And I mean, I think that, all of it's weird how some of the beds are being made. I think, New England, if Belichick leaves, everybody's screaming at Vrabel in one capacity or another is going back there to New England.
Yeah.
Then you look at Dan Quinn. Now you're hearing that Dan Quinn he came to
Seattle.
Seattle. So you're starting to hear all those whispers of people moving and shifting. And it's just, like I said, it's going to be interesting throughout the playoffs to see how this all kind of just plays out. Dallas is going to be a big one that could be at play if things don't go well. And
New York is still in play.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what I think? And I think listening to a lot of Bears radio has keyed me into how some of these people are thinking. A lot of these teams don't want these defensive coaches anymore because the league sees it as I got to get a quarterback. And look and this is what the Bears, their radio hosts are saying. This is Jordan Love's first year starting. He has a good play caller for an offensive coach. But if I have a defensive head coach and I have a great offensive coordinator, I'm going to lose that coordinator eventually. Now I got to find another one.
Right.
But if my head coach is an offensive-minded head coach and he can groom the quarterback and they're tied together, then I'm in a better position. Like, polls came out in their press conference today talking about, we got to find a new offensive coordinator. But the radio host was like, yo, you got to get rid of the defensive coach because if you say you do bring in Caleb and you get a great offensive coordinator, you're going to lose him. There's no guarantee you find another good offensive coordinator. You can find a defensive coordinator.
But you know what they're doing, though, Burns, which I think, again, is highly different than what we've seen in the NFL. They're not even changing a position. They're changing a room. They're changing the entire room. Like Chicago changed the entire offensive room. Jacksonville changed the entire defensive room, right? So even with some of the offensive coaches that we see in some of these positions, these GMs are saying, listen, you got to change the room. We don't even want the room no more. And that's different because listen, we're only 2 years removed from, Nathaniel Hackett is the next best thing, or what was the coordinator that was in Detroit at the time? Cooter something.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Billy Bob Cooter or something like that.
And now they're looking at Philly in their offensive coordinator. But now they're changing it, and shout out to the Commanders for saying they want to interview my boy Raheem Morris. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. Naysayers in there together. Naysayers in the month of February. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, my thing about that is, and Morris used to be a part of that staff over there. And I think it's a smart interview at some point because here's the thing. They look at all their former staff around the league killing it. Offensive coordinator for the Texans used to be on that staff. McDaniel, McVay, the LaFleur. I mean, they just all of their other people are in the league, either on the cusp of being great or have a great football team or coaching good football teams. Like I think half of them are in the playoffs. I think maybe all of them are in the playoffs if I'm not mistaken. So it's one of those things now that I think, even with the Commanders, I hope they figure and do it right. And when I was at the press conference Monday, I was wondering if they were gonna. They never said they were gonna fire the enemy, and he's actually running the day-to-day operations right now for as a football team until they get the president of football operations, and then they'll go from there. So we're gonna find out real quick if the enemy is gonna is it going to be a part of that or not?
They wouldn't go wrong with keeping Eric and then adding to it.
Yeah.
Whether they elevate his role of head coach, I think the Raiders are hoping that they're making the smart play and keeping Antonio Pierce. But you know who ain't supposed to be getting no job? Mr. Barry. Thank you.
Never.
Thank you.
But somebody should
not get an interview.
Somebody should get this man an interview, man. Like, he deserves it. Look, somebody take him. Like,
listen,
somebody take him.
Burns, look, AD, Burns ain't calling Goody Man for that. He ain't put the call in for that.
I don't know if y'all gotta say it. Like, Matt is in charge of who he hires. Goot has no control over the coach hiring and firing.
That's Murphy. Murphy has to.
That's Murphy. Like, once they got hired, Murphy changed the structure. Neither one reports to the other. They both report to Murphy. Goot has no control over it.
That's insane. Well, I mean, I great for the coach, but insane for everything else. It'll be.
I'll say this. Hey, you know what that showed me? If I'm a coordinator, Matt gonna go down with the ship for me. Hire me. Bring me in.
I mean, look.
That is not what I want as my coach. No,
hey,
I need Al Pacino and Jim Brown on the sideline. Fix it. That's what I need.
Oh my goodness!
I know I can mess up every day, and he's still gonna keep me. Shoot.
I'm gonna mess up every day. Still, that's loyalty.
Exactly.
And it's funny. When I was at the game, I saw Al Harris, and he fist bumped me, and I was like, "Man, can you just?" You know how bad I wanted to be like, "Hey, man, look." I wanted to whisper to him because he was coming back out the tunnel, and I said, "Yo, that's my boy right there." Like, I grew up loving Al Harris, and I hate to see him in the cowboy blue. Hated it all my soul. But he came through. I was like, "Hey, what's up, coach?" He said, "What's up, man?" Gave me the fist bump. I was like, "Come to Green Bay." Please,
look,
I don't care what it takes.
You know what I would have told him? Hey, remember, we want the ball.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that. We want the ball. Yeah.
We want the ball.
I didn't think about it.
That's what I'm gonna tell him when I see him.
That's my dude, man. Like, I'm happy for him. I think that he'll probably be the next coordinator down there. If Dan Quinn and they keep McCarthy, I think he probably would be the next defensive coordinator down there. He would deserve it. He's done a really good job with that defense, man. I mean, the way he's turned Bland around and or got Bland going for that team, and everybody thought they would not be as good without Diggs, and it's been phenomenal. So look, this game on Sunday is going to be a game where a lot of things are going to be tested on both sides. We have, like you said earlier, Ruck, house money right now. So we'll see how things go. So before we move out, I'm going to get both of you guys thoughts, your final thought on the game, and how do you think it will go? And so I'll go with you first, Goody Naysayer. What are your thoughts on the game, my man? And where do you think it ends up? How do you think it ends up going?
They've been whooping people up at home all season. I don't think anything changed. Packers lose 40-21.
Oh, 40-21 is tough. Ooh, I hope that doesn't happen, but 40-21 is a tough one. Ruck, I swing to you. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
So I'm gonna go opposite of the Goody Naysayer, and I'm gonna say Packers playing with house money. We go in, we put a good performance together. I'm saying Green Bay 31-17 shocked the world.
I would take all of it. I don't know if I have a prediction per se. It's been hard because I hate to go against them, but I think Dallas finds a way in this one. And I think it'll be close because I really think they're going to play. I really think they're going to play them tough. Maybe 31-28, something in that range. But I really think that what comes from this game, no matter what the situation, people are going to be like, that Jordan Love guy. They're saying it now, but they're going to be like, that guy right there is special. And I mean, we're talking about top-notch special. And I think he has a chance to really, and I'm not gonna say on a super national stage. Obviously, he's been on Monday Night Game, but this is a big time. I think he shows up and shows out. Maybe just a little bit short on that, but I'm hoping everything Ruck said comes true. Now, the only prize about that is you go to San Francisco the next week. So I don't know how that feels.
Yeah. So one of the things that I listened today that gives me the hope, right? So it's the 3 guys on the Packers. They do 3 guys and 3 things about the Packers, right? And one of the things that they kept saying is that these guys have no connection to any of the past of our playoff disappointments.
Right.
And they're young enough to believe that they're good enough to win, which is great, right? Some of these other teams, really, for us, they're not playing the way that everybody thinks. I mean, some of the stuff that we're seeing, especially from a lot of these teams right now in the league, are smoke and mirrors. Like, nobody thought that Miami would have the performance that they had against Buffalo, right? That was a back and forth ugly game that Buffalo pulled out. San Fran is resting some people, but still everybody questions Brock Purdy if there's a solid defense that's playing against him, right? Dak has faced the questions all year. Philly is facing a lot of questions. Burns even said it earlier. Are they falling apart?
Oh, they are.
They have the pulse of that team anymore, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So this really could be the true year of the underdog, where all these teams that go on the road in the first couple of weeks are winning games.
Yeah.
Because listen, even for what Miami did the last 2 weeks, they still go into Kansas City with a fighter's chance, right? You mean to tell me that we can't go into Dallas and get a game from a team that's been wildly inconsistent?
Yeah.
Not when they do what they're doing at home. You see them splits.
Yeah, they've been killing people at home.
I mean, listen, they're killing people at home, but again, like we got to look at the entire ball of wax when we're talking about it. They're killing people at home, but look who they were killing at home, right? It wasn't like they were top-notch teams, because we've seen Dallas against a good defense with a pass rusher, right? We've seen what happened against San Francisco. Dak didn't look the same, right? So we've seen, listen, Dak, for all intents and purposes, didn't really look like Dak against Seattle. It's possible. That's all. And listen,
it's definitely possible. I feel that
football is any given Sunday, brother.
I feel you 100% on that. I feel you 100% on that, brother. I feel I'm gonna be excited on Sunday, one way or the other. It's good to be back in the playoffs, and I'm just excited about the future of this team. So, but look, I want to thank Goody Naysayer in the building, my man Randell Burns. If you're listening to this podcast and you caught it in the middle, you got to go back to the beginning to catch one of the most eloquent soliloquies you'll ever hear. Something? Yeah, of course, my friend.
I hope 15 years from now, we're sitting here.
Yes.
And Ruck is mad that we just drafted another quarterback in the first round. And I'm just like, it's time to go. Nobody's bigger than the franchise. Get Jordan Love old ass up out of here. He got us 2 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs. And that's just what we do.
No, don't do J
Team
Love
over
like
players.
That,
all that. Oh, I don't like the way they
see, hey, D, you see how he do?
Yeah, man.
Do, right?
Hey, man, look, let's enjoy
first thing. The first thing. Look, look, 15 years from now, right, D, we're gonna be doing this, and he's gonna be like, see, even Love Boy Stephen A said that he ain't no good no more.
Oh,
he's gonna find somebody to be like,
I'm just saying that, hey, franchise over everybody, green and gold over everything. Even if you're a Hall of Fame quarterback, Jordan Love, I hope you get $100 million from us. Hope you get us 2 Super Bowls. When it's time for you to go, it's gonna be time for you to go. But for right now, you my naysayer.
My boy Dishon Rucker.
That's it.
Don't shoot the
messenger. That's it, man. Hey, listen, D, that you can't end on nothing else.
I know.
Nobody need to go. I ain't about to do no Steve Harvey or no Cedric Entertainer. Right? Burns. All I want to say to you is this, right? With your association with Goody Man, I've never known you to associate yourself with losers. And that's shocking.
All right, everybody. Look, my boy Robb Johnson is coming on now, so we can preview, get the Dallas side of things as we break down that. We'll be back next week, hopefully in a positive note, to talk about a Packers victory. If not, we'll look into the offseason and what is next to come. Let's go to the preview. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we are here. It is Wildcard Sunday, and look, it's going to be a big day for these two teams. They have played each other in the playoffs on multiple occasions throughout the 90s and throughout the 60s, 1960s. There's a lot of playoff history between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Dallas coming into this game as the number 2 seed in the NFC. The Packers barely getting in at the 7th seed, and it's going to be a big one in Dallas, a big and so many different reasons. But today I had to bring somebody on with me that is an NFL insider on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, but he's also a Dallas Cowboys insider and knows the Cowboys like no other. My man, Mr. Robb Johnson. Robb, how you doing today?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not the New Year's, but it's time to celebrate. Celebrate good times. I don't own the copyright to this music. Come on.
Now, just for those out there, that is Welch's grape juice.
I haven't had a drink in like 7 or 8 years, so I'm just letting you know.
So the man, he's trying to celebrate. Let that man celebrate. So yeah, I'm glad to have you with me, Robb, as we break down Packers and Cowboys. It is a playoff rivalry game, just like 49ers and Cowboys and Packers and 49ers.
Deeper.
Yeah, it's just so much involved in this rivalry. So, before we get into the keys of the game, what are your initial thoughts about this game?
Whew. All right, my thoughts about this game is this. Jordan Love is proving that he belongs in Green Bay. You have a young team who's going to be ascending very soon. They lost some games this year that, quite frankly, were head-scratching. But this team has won their last, 3 games against some teams that were kind of, but they won those games. They're here in the playoffs. It's Cowboys. It's Packers. You look back at the 90s, from October 6th of 1991 to November the 23rd of 1997, the Cowboys won 8 straight against the Green Bay Packers until the day where they came into Green Bay, Lambeau Field, coming off a loss. People are like, how do you know all this? Trust me, ask Darrell. I know this stuff.
He knows it.
They came off a loss against Air McNair and the Tennessee Titans. They go into Green Bay. Deion Sanders picks off Brett Favre, goes in for the touchdown. He high steps. What happens next? The Packers destroy the Cowboys. Let's take it back a little bit further than that. If you go back to 1996, yes, ladies and gentlemen, 1996, Steve Boniel. I know Packers fans remember that name. All those field goals, they beat the Packers in the regular season. And see, I know I'm going off a little bit of tangent right now, but I really kind of don't care. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Darrell Owens had the Hall of Famer, Mr. Leroy Butler, on a couple of times, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Leroy Butler said that he didn't care that the Dallas Cowboys lost to the Carolina Panthers and that they played the Panthers in the NFC Championship game. You're a lie, sir. You, as well as everybody knows, that 1997 game between the Cowboys and the Packers was the Packers NFC Championship game because Brett Favre could not beat the Cowboys. Before there was Peyton Manning, before there was Lamar Jackson, before there was Dak who couldn't win in the playoffs, Brett Favre could not beat the Dallas Cowboys. And the Packers and the Cowboys, last time they went to the NFC Championship game, they actually upset the 49ers, which, folks, at that time was a big deal because that Packers and 49ers rivalry is huge.
Yep.
Huge.
That's another one.
The Packers went to Dallas, and guess what they did? They lost 38-20 against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a deep rivalry. If you remember last year, Cowboys come into Green Bay 28-14. When it ends up happening, the Packers win. The Cowboys haven't beaten the Green Bay Packers since, what was that?
17, ain't it? Yeah.
No. 10, 16, 16. Since October 16, 2016. That's when Dak was a rookie. That's when Beasley was running wild. And then what happened in the playoffs? We all know. We know what happened 2 years before that when Dez Bryant caught the ball.
He did. And I'll tell anybody to this day, look, my initial thoughts of that game, the Cotted game, was when it happened, I said, oh, man, what a catch by Dez Bryant. And I said, okay, that's fine. But in my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, Aaron's got 4 minutes, so that's what I was thinking. So when all of a sudden they were like, okay, wait a minute, there may be there may be a little bit more to this, and then all of a sudden it got overturned. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not mad that it got overturned, but I really I thought initially it was a catch. I had no clue. I till this day still think it's a catch, and it's just that's the NFL for you. But guess what? You got the Packers the next week.
But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, for you to understand a rivalry, you got to understand the history. And as I give it back to Darrell, let me give you this last little piece right here. Everybody talks about everything in this game, from the Packers defense, the Packers who gave up 30 points to the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. That ain't good. You can't get away with that against Dak. But here's the kicker. I'm gonna give you 3 numbers, 100, and I'm gonna give you the total stat line of it. 123.3. Do you all know what that is? That's 125 on 19 carries. That's 107 on 19 carries. Darrell, you know where I'm going with this. 24 carries for 138. Here's the bottom line, folks. Aaron Jones has dominated the Dallas Cowboys every time they played. But here's the kicker. Ever since the Buffalo Bills embarrassed the Dallas Cowboys on the road, embarrassed the Cowboys in Buffalo, Dallas in 3 games has given up 46, 65, and 25 to the lead rushers. That's 45.3 per game. Something's got to give in this game. Take it away, Darrell.
Yeah, it's going to be critical, and I'll get into my portion of that when we get into our keys of the game. With that being said, let's talk about the keys to this game. We'll start off with Robb first and his 3 keys to a Dallas Cowboy victory on Sunday.
Yeah, getting pressure on Jordan Love. Definitely, you've got to make sure that you're getting pressure on him because he can definitely fling the football. The Cowboys must run the football. Darrell, if you notice, you were at the game. You saw it, my friend.
Yes, I did.
Tony Pollard has now 1,000 yards on the season. He's running better. But I think what impresses me a lot more than that is Rico Dowdle. I'll let you explain to people real quick how impressed you are with Rico Dowdle, his physical style running, and then mistake-free football. That means no turnovers. That also means playing your assignments on the deep balls because the Packers will try deep balls.
It's a funny thing. I feel like lately, or the last 15 years, the Dallas Cowboys' second running back has always emerged to be something special at some point. We saw with Tony Pollard. We just saw with Marion Barber back in the day when he was the number 2 and he surpassed some people. And it's always like that number 2 back has always had some type of special role, especially in the last 15 years. And Rico has a really good game on Sunday. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but I feel like Pollard has had the quietest 1,000-yard season that I've ever seen. And it's insane because he's been productive. And they don't give, he hasn't had that many touchdowns. I fully expected him to have a really good touchdown year, and he hasn't. But that's because Dak has been throwing the heck out of the ball. But Rico and Tony together have been a really nice combination for Dallas. And we all know what the Packers' kryptonite is, and that's stopping the run.
Yes. And I'll say this. The Packers are a physical team, but their defense has been susceptible. Darrell, like I said, if you go back to December 17th, when they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, Randell White rushed for 89 yards on 21 carries. Baker Mayfield had 381 yards with 4 touchdowns.
Insane.
And the Bucs aren't even the Bucs anymore, even though they're in the playoffs. You go to Carolina, as I said, Bryce Young threw for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, this is what I'll say. I think that one of the big things this week is everybody has said, well, there's a lot of pressure on Mike McCarthy. There's pressure on Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Well, I think they're going to live up to the billing. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say the Packers are in the wrong place or in the wrong time. As you can bring me back on the screen, Darrell, because as we can see each other real quick, I'm not saying the Packers are in the wrong place at the wrong time, but I'm saying the Packers are in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think this game will be close early, but I think Dallas will pull away late. And it's not because I don't think Green Bay is late. You got to tell people, Darrell, I gave the Green Bay Packers credit. I said that
You did
this regime was going to work.
From week one, from before the season. It's 100%. He told me many times that Darrell Jordan Love is going to be, and I felt that sentiment. I felt it 100% because I went into the season 75% that Jordan Love was the man for the Packers. I saw what I saw last season, even though it was a sampling, but I said that's enough for me to think. It was just like when Rodgers came in against the Cowboys on that Thursday night game for Favre, and I said that kid's got something special. I said that kid's got something special. That's the same vibe I got for Jordan in that Philly game. And there were some moments, like you said earlier, during this season where you said, man, what is this Packers team doing? This Packers team could have easily, and by the amount of close games they had, this team could have went 14-3. There are only 3 games that they truly just got the dog stumped in, and that was the Buccaneers game, the first Lions game, and the first Vikings game. Yeah. Everything else, they either won handily or they lost by 2 points or had the ball last going on a drive and they just couldn't finish it off. Like, the Pittsburgh game, they had the ball last. They had the ball last in the Broncos game that they lost, and they had the ball last driving in the Raiders game. All 3 games ended in a Jordan Love interception. But they've been cruising since then.
But that's the thing. And people say the defense is so bad, but I think this defense is better than people think. Now, you look at Jaylen Warren. He had 2 100-yard games this year against the Packers, and guess who else? The Cleveland Browns. He rushed for 129 yards against the Cleveland Browns. I don't think this defense is great. I think this defense is more opportunistic. And I think that the Cowboys, the reason I'm saying that the Cowboys can probably win this game by a huge margin, they're desperate.
Yeah.
If Matt LaFleur loses this game, Darrell, he'll be the coach next year. Jordan Love will be the quarterback next year. If Dallas loses this game, there's a good chance that Dak could be sent out of town. There's a good chance that, or at least get a reduced contract. Mike McCarthy will be fired. You imagine that. You look at the irony of this. Mike McCarthy, against a team he led to a Super Bowl, got fired, went to Dallas, loses to that same team, and loses his job in Dallas. That, my friend, is crazy. And by the way, I hate to plug this in, but I don't know if anybody missed it. Cowboy Talk will be coming to the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Hey, let's get it.
I started a few years ago. I kind of shut it down a little bit. But Cowboy Talk with Robb Johnson will be coming Sunday night. And it's gonna be lit. And make sure you check out the Robb Johnson Sports Show as well.
Make sure you jump in there. Ram Talk. Don't forget Ram Talk.
Ram Talk as well. But let me say this. This is a very important game for both teams. Dallas has not been to the NFC Championship game since 1995, 95-96 season. But what I want to talk about, Darrell, is rivalry. I mean, let's be honest here. This is one of the greatest rivalries in the NFL's history.
Most definitely.
I mean, just take the people through the history of you in the 90s when the Cowboys were kicking your butts every year.
I hated it.
I'm sorry.
No. But you know what, though? It was one of those things.
Y'all gave it to us too.
But it took time.
I felt it with Aaron.
It took time. And you made a good point earlier. Brett just couldn't beat him. I mean, it just never could happen. I think he might have snuck one in there, but it just never really. It was just never really his thing. And I hated Dallas so bad. I have a lot more respect for the Cowboys now than I did when in the 90s. I hated them as a kid. I said, they always beat us. I used to hate it. But now, we got our fair share of wins in the last 10, 7, whatever the amount is. But we've been able to reverse that a little bit. But it's always been, to me, a big rivalry. When they play, it's one of those games that it's intense. I mean, remember the game where Matt Flynn had the Cowboys were up it was like 32 to 10 or 32 to 7. I can't remember what the score was. 3. It's like 37 to 33 to 3. And Green Bay came back and won that game 37 to 36.
Romo.
I will never forget that. And that's how intense this rivalry is. I mean, it's always put Dak or Romo in a bad situation in the times they've had to face each other in the playoffs. So this is different because it's a little, obviously the Jordan Love regime is in, and we don't, how will they handle things? Christian Watson had a really good game against Dallas last year in Green Bay, but Dallas has been unstoppable at home, 16-0. at home, and that's, I mean, they're cruising. So this is a very tough test for the Packers. You're not going to just go into Dallas and just whoop them. They are dangerous at home. I got a chance last year to sit at AT&T Stadium and get the vibe. Like I've been to stadiums where, you see a good sprinkling of the other team's fans in there. There was nothing but Cowboys fans in that bad boy. It may have been 3% Commanders fans at the time that I went to that game. Heck, the game on Sunday, it was probably 3% Commanders fans at that game. They run deep, and the fans are passionate, and it gets loud in there. So it's a big test for Jordan Love. But the Packers, Packers don't hurt here though. This, like you said it just a couple minutes ago. This doesn't hurt the Packers. If they lose this game, everybody's gonna see it as young and upcoming guy. Playoff game. He learns from it. They grow. It's different for Dak. It's different for McCarthy. You made a good point there, sir.
Yeah. Let me remind you that game since you brought it up. 26-3 at halftime.
26-3. Okay.
Packers scored 14 in the third. They scored 20 in the fourth. Let me give you the numbers because this is how deep this rivalry goes. I remember this game. This game was on December the 15th, 2013.
Sexiest day of the year. And you know what's funny about it, Rob?
God.
You know what's funny about it? I remember after the game, I went on Facebook because I rarely go on Facebook and,
I'm going to find that post.
It's on my birthday, and I'm screaming. I'm like, y'all, and I said to myself, y'all want a birthday present? This is a birthday present. I remember it like it was yesterday. So, yeah, that was, man, I can't believe it's been that long.
Let me give you the numbers and give you some of the names. Matt Flynn, 26 of 39, 299 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. And this goes back to the Packers. I don't care if it's Dorsey Levens. Everybody knows Dorsey Levens. You know football, you know Dorsey Levens. That man was a great football player back in the day.
Love Dorsey.
Here's a name. And this goes back to what Dallas does. Every time it feels like they play Green Bay. Eddie Lacy, 21 carries, 141 yards, a touchdown. Jared Boyd. But do you know who the Packers' leading receiver was that day? It wasn't Jordy Nelson. It wasn't James Jones. It was Jared Boykin. 6 receptions for 83 yards. And if we go over to the Cowboys side, Tony Romo had 358 yards. Yeah. But he had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The leading rusher that day was DeMarco Murray, 18 carries for 134 yards. The leading receiver was Dez Bryant, 11 receptions, 153, and a touchdown. And do you know what I can say from this game with the classic tale of being very careful? Matt Flynn, Eddie Lacy, and DeMarco Murray. When got contracts. What happened next? Don't leave this rivalry. They left their prospective teams, and what happened next?
It got a little tough after that. It got a little bit tough after that.
So what I'm saying to real quick too is that's what I'm saying about this rivalry, how deep it is. Do you see how fast you pulled that out?
Yeah.
That game where Dallas beat the Packers in the regular season in '96. That was a Monday Night Football game, and I knew in that game, if Green Bay had played Dallas again, if they had played in the NFC Championship game, Green Bay would have beat them about 45 to about 10. Dallas was injured. And I'm just going to tell you,
right.
I'm going to tell you, that Sunday, I know people, I'm going on, whatever, folks. I'm telling you the history of this. If you remember that NFC Championship and AFC Championship game that day, it was packed. It was Jaguars against Patriots.
Yeah.
It was supposed to have been the Broncos and Patriots, which would have been epic. Because you remember all those upsets. Carolina against Dallas. Again, Packers fans can say what they want to. NFL aficionados can say what they want to. I can guarantee you this. If you go back to those days and Carolina beat Dallas, all the executives at Fox said the F word about 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
Because you went from Dallas and Green Bay for the NFC Championship game to Kerry Collins. And my main man, Sam Mills and Kevin Green, he was a character. He was the man. But if you go back, Cowboys fans, you go back and watch that Carolina game, which I've watched at least 20 times because I can't get over it.
I feel you.
I can't get over that Carolina game. And I'm going to tell you all something. If Green Bay wins Sunday, this will replace it as number 1 because I still remember when Dak came back, when they wanted to put Romo in the game, that playoff game. And, it was, what was it, like 10 seconds ago, Aaron Rodgers throws the ball deep for like 40 yards and they kick the field goal and it's no good. Oh, my God, it's good. This rivalry is deep. This rivalry is heated. And this rivalry is going to come to a head on Sunday.
Here's a bad thing though. Like every time the Packers have, at least the last couple of times they played the Cowboys in the playoffs, the Packers would end up losing like in some horrible, like terrible fashion the next time around. So I'm
So if the Packers win,
San Francisco. And that's what I told somebody. I'm like, look, they was like, I hope y'all beat Dallas on Sunday. I said, look, I want to win as a Packer enthusiast, but I also don't want to have to go to San Francisco and get a butts beat in San Francisco. Not something I want to see.
They would have a chance. They would have a chance because I'm telling you, there's something, like I said, man. Do I think Jordan Love is going to have a horrible game Sunday? No. I think that Dallas is just so focused on getting to the NFC Championship game that they are going to do anything they can. But I will say this about the Packers. From this game on to next season, it is going to be it's going to be crazy. This team is going to be very good for a very long time. Jordan Love's like what, 24, 25?
20. He's going to be good. 25, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be good for the next decade. Christian Watson one day is going to get healthy, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
If Christian Watson, and remember, and it's another thing I hate to say that I forecasted these things, but I had texted Darrell, I believe it was before the draft. I was like, Darrell, watch out for Christian Watson.
Yeah.
Watch out for Romeo Doubs. And I'm telling you, because when you look at Diggs right now, Diggs is out for the Cowboys. So they got Gilmore, they got Bland, they got Lewis. But if one of those receivers can get loose and they can kind of get the Cowboys rattled, what the Cowboys can't do is they can't settle. The Cowboys literally have to go for the jugular in this game. They have to embarrass Green Bay because if they come out there thinking that, we're going to score a few points and we're going to relax,
let them hang in.
You cannot let them hang in. This is a very good Green Bay Packers team. This team has character. What's one thing I will say about Coach LaFleur? And that's one thing that is the benefit of getting rid of Aaron Rodgers, who right now, as you can see, is a complete distraction. We don't know if he's really worth it anymore. This team has character. This team has a bunch of guys. Like I'm going to tell you, Jaden Reed, I wouldn't be shocked if Jaden Reed goes for a touchdown on Sunday because they might underestimate him. It's like, oh, it's Jaden Reed. It's Jaden Reed.
Man.
Next thing you know, Jaden Reed's scoring a touchdown.
Jaden Reed broke my favorite Packer player of all time, Sterling Sharp's rookie record of receptions in the season. Like they said his stat line this season has never happened for an NFL rookie.
64 catches, 793 yards on 94 targets, 12.39 yards per catch, 8 touchdowns. Bam! I'll bring the stats, baby.
Never had a stat line like that for a rookie receiver in NFL history, which is a very impressive thing.
Well, just for the Packers, right? Because Devontae Adams didn't even have those numbers, right?
No, not at all. Devontae didn't come on to like see like the third year. He didn't really start cooking until the third year. So it's like a lot of great young receivers. Dontavian Wicks, former UVA player who's had a really good – he had scored both touchdowns in the game against the Bears. You got Bo Milton, who they picked up off the side of the road. and Bo Milton had 105 yards and a touchdown and 6 receptions against the Vikings.
Question for you.
It's been great.
Question for you. Jordan Love wins this game. Is he a made man?
They pay him.
Let me tell you something. If Jordan Love can beat the Dallas Cowboys, who have won, 16 straight, it doesn't even matter what happens the rest of the playoffs. They go to San Francisco next week and get beat 80-0. I don't think fans out there understand just how much the Packers hate the Cowboys and vice versa. Now, me and Darrell, we're media now. When the camera's off, that's a different story. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how last week I had, anyway. Jordan Love is a made man.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: if Jordan Love can somehow let's say they somehow beat the Cowboys, right? And let's say that somehow they go on and upset the 49ers and get to the NFC Championship game.
They're going to Super Bowl. If it happens, they're going to Super Bowl.
At that point, he's the Godfather. He's the Godfather. And at that point, I'm not saying that they have a Aaron Rodgers burn the jersey party, but they're going to have an Aaron Rodgers burn the jersey party.
Here's the thing, you look at it, and Jordan Love done something this season that Aaron never did, that Brett never did. 4,000 yards in the season, in the first year as a starter. And, he had, I think, over 30 touchdowns. And the only other 2 players to do it, Kurt Warner, former Packer, by the way, and even if it was on the preseason, and Patrick Mahomes.
But come
So I
correct,
mean,
Darrell. Come correct with the numbers. Do not do that to Mr. Jordan Love. 37, 392, 579, 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 96.1. But that wasn't Dak's numbers. That wasn't Dak. Dak Prescott, 4,516 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 105.9. Now you look at CeeDee Lamb, 181 targets. 181 targets. That's mad numbers, man.
that's craziness.
135 catches. 1,749 yards, 12 touchdowns, and Emmanuel Forbes is still getting a stank off of him.
Poor Emmanuel Forbes. What a took. God, I pray for this kid. I pray for this kid. Now,
left hand up. Who are we? I'm sorry. They didn't invite me, so I was upset. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
They
that's
didn't
hilarious.
invite me.
Well,
hey, listen.
We're hoping on next year.
I want to do a toast to the Commanders draft pick. Toast up.
While he's toasting, so real quick, Rob's 3 keys to victory. The Cowboys getting pressure on Love. The Cowboys must run the football. That means we need to see Rico. You got to see Tony go free, and mistake-free football is going to be critical because, as Rob said, they're very I can't even get the word. Say the word for me, Rob. There you go. Optimistic. I had a whole moment. They're very optimistic. And they're opportunistic, and so you got to watch out for that. Now, on the Green Bay side of things,
ooh, I like that.
And he said this. Aaron Jones must get going, and if he gets going, we've seen what he's done to the Cowboys in the past. He had that 5-touchdown game against the Cowboys a couple seasons ago, and when he gets going, he plays really well against them. According to what Rob was saying, kind of the same dream. You got to force Dak Prescott to make mistakes. I got to get him flustered. And there's a lot of pressure on Dak's shoulders heading into this playoffs. You got to find a way to get him, rattled early. And then number 3 for me, Jair Alexander I love the guy as a player. He's a joker. It's time to put up and shut up if you're Jair Alexander. You're considered one of the best cornerbacks in the league. You're going to have to play like it, and you're going to have to lock up CeeDee Lamb, which is going to be an adventure within itself. Because here's the thing. You're not going to be able to just lock up CeeDee Lamb. You can only as the one of the famous ESPN broadcasters said, you may not be able. We can only hope to contain him. You may not be able to hold him, but you can only hope to contain him. I think Dan Patrick, the legendary Dan Patrick, said that. So Jair, those are the things I think the Packers must do to win this game, and of course stop the run, which we all know is something that is a very hard thing for the Green Bay Packers to do. Problem is
Jair Alexander rolled his ankle about 22 hours ago. So that ankle is a little rolled up. So here's the thing. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep it really real with you. There's another name, and we didn't have this key in there, but there's another name that the Packers really need to keep out for. Because I'm not saying that CeeDee Lamb is not going to be the man in this matchup, but what I'm saying is that he's going to have a part. But I think the Cowboys are going to feature their other guys. And there's a name that I just want everybody to remember, and that name is Mr. Jalen Tolbert. That number 18, that young man, he's not the guy yet. He's not a number 2 yet. But he is going to cause havoc somehow, some way in this playoffs. You look at CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Tony Pollard, Brandon Cooks, my God, Michael Gallup. And here's another thing. Kevontae Turpin. We're going to start seeing some packages in this game that we haven't seen all year. Cowboys are very deep. The Cowboys have not only the tight end Ferguson, as I said, but Schoonmaker from Michigan, who we've seen when they throw him the football, he can catch the football. He's got speed. Right. The Cowboys have to win this football game. Because as I said before, if they do not win this game, there will be consequences that it's going to be bad.
Well, it's also getting a monkey off their back. I mean, we know that Green Bay's just had their number in a certain aspect, and they got to get it. I feel like for Dak, this is the road to redemption, per se. You're going to have to beat 2 teams that have been kryptonite to you during this process. 1, San Francisco, more likely, and then 2, the Green Bay Packers. Now,
hold on. I don't. This is the one problem I've had all week with all the people on television not giving that much respect to the second round. And I'm going to talk about this on the Robb Johnson Sports Show tonight. I'm pushing it back to about 10:30, maybe 11. We talk about the Lions and the Rams. That's going to be a bloodbath. Those teams should
That's gonna be a
not be
crazy game.
those teams should not be disrespected not one bit. So in my eyes, you look at it, and here's the funnier part: the last time the Cowboys really started making noise in the playoffs is when the Detroit Lions were in the playoffs. It's kind of funny how life works, right? How the circle
Yeah.
of life comes. And here's another thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting about. And here's some stuff, Darrell. When they retired Jimmy's number, if they hadn't retired Jimmy's number, that call against Detroit would never have been reversed. You go back to Washington last week. That same Dallas Cowboys team who was down 10-7, the tipped interception and the blocked field goal. If this was last year, remember the Tennessee Titans game? The
Yeah.
Cowboys would have probably won that game, let's say about 20-17. After that point, when it was 10-7, they reeled off like 31 in a row.
31
This
in a
team
row.
this team is different. This team knows how good Green Bay is. I know how good Green Bay is. I know how sneaky they can be, and they know what this rivalry means. Trust me. Do you think these coaches aren't talking about? These coaches are talking about this. Big
Gotta
time.
be talking about it, man. They gotta be talking about it.
Coach McCarthy, after he lost that game in Green Bay, he feels embarrassed. He feels upset. He wants revenge. I know he wishes Aaron was here, but I think he wants to bring in the new Green Bay era with a little bit of a beatdown.
Well, like here's the thing, and for me, I think when I look at this whole situation with Green Bay, and like I said, you come into this one knowing that one way or the other, for me, I need to see growth. I don't want a blowout. I told somebody, I'm like, if we lose this game, fine, but I need to see competitiveness, and I need to see a team that is, hungry for the future. That's what I want to see out of this game. And most people say, "Oh, you crazy? You want to win?" Yeah, of course, I want to see them win. But I also have to think logically. I know this Dallas Cowboys team is going to come in ready to roll. And they know everything that people say about them. You can't tell me they don't. That's all that ESPN talk about. Dallas Cowboys. You have many times said the same thing.
I've
Dallas
said
Lakers.
it. I've only
Dallas,
talked about the Cow. Yeah.
They only talk about the Cowboys. So the first thing we already know, Stephen A. gonna come out with the bucket hat, all that dream stuff. They don't want to see all that. They don't. So that's why I say Green Bay's got to come over.
Can I ask you another question real quick?
Mm-hmm.
If the Packers do get blown out in this game, do you think Matt LaFleur is in trouble anyway? Especially with Jim Harbaugh, especially some of the new coaches out there. Because going to next year, the pressure is going to amplify because this division is going to be so much better next year. But the Packers are going to be expected to at least win that division.
I'm going to say that I don't think LaFleur would be in trouble. But Joe Barry, if they get blown out, definitely gone. Even though he's had the last couple of weeks have been good to him, because Packer fans have been drooling to get him out of there. Like they want him gone like yesterday. And yes, you made a good point earlier. The defense has been pretty solid for the majority of the year. At one point, they had only given up like 8. They're like averaging like 7 between the 17 and 18 points a game. They were doing really good. They were holding teams to under 20 points. And so, other than the 3 blowout games, and so you look at that. And the Panthers game as well. You look at that and you say, okay, this guy defensively, that's been the biggest argument amongst the fans. But for me, I think he would probably be the one. Matt's not going anywhere just yet, in my opinion. I think it may be he'll have another year before that really becomes a problem. I thought if they continue to play they did at the middle part of the season, I would definitely agree with that.
Does it concern you that the Packers on September the 10th destroyed the Bears 38-20? But then on January 7th, they only beat them 17-9. Does that kind of, and it was at home. Does that give you pause? Does that give you concern?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because the Bears team, the last 3 or 4 weeks, were a better Bears football team, and Justin Fields felt like he started to really get going. Now he kind of had a rough performance against Green Bay. Like they couldn't score. They couldn't score touchdowns, and they only had the 3 field goals. But leading into that, they beat up on Arizona, who did have Kyler Murray back, and they had a couple of good games. They had a couple of good wins. So I felt like it to me that they were in a good place. Now the Bears are a whole nother dream where they got to try to find a way to get the monkey other back and beat Green Bay. That's that's something they're going to have to figure out. But with that being said, I didn't have too much concern that it was a close game. I had a feeling it was going to be a close game
and it doesn't hurt when the Commanders give you a 6'6", 27-year-old stud at defensive end for basically nothing.
Yeah. It's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal, isn't it? So I was worried about that. I thought Montez would have a pretty good day, but this is the one thing I will say about and I'm going to knock on wood here. I got to knock on wood here. Here's the thing: for the majority part of this season, the Packers' offensive line has played extremely well. I don't know the number of how many sacks he's had, but they keep him upright. But also because he gets the ball out quick. And I think that, the job that the Packers offensive line has done this season cannot be discredited. They've done a really good job there, but they're going to have a task on their hands against this Dallas Cowboy defense. Former Packer great Al Harris coming in there. You don't think he wants to win this game?
That's a huge motivation as well.
Yeah, you don't think he wants to win this game?
Yeah, and you talk about a guy who should definitely be getting consideration for jobs around the country.
Yes.
He's been sacked. Jordan Love was sacked 30 times this year.
Okay, I mean, I can see that.
But
it's not bad. It's not Sam Howell numbers. That's Sam Howell numbers.
No. Sam Howell was sacked.
Sam Howell got sacked by like 75 times. It was an insane number. Whatever it is, it's high. It's high. But with that being said,
Dak was sacked 39.
39. Okay, so that's decent. That's decent. That's not too bad. So with that being said, Packers Cowboys on Sunday. Before we get out of here, Rob, final thoughts on the game.
Final thoughts. It's gonna be a scene. I wish the commentators were different. My God, I wish the commentators were different.
Who are the commentators for this game?
Who is it?
Olsen?
Olsen and the other dude.
And Burkhart. Yeah.
I just, it's just like Burkhart, man. It's like he gets down the field. He's down the field, and then Olsen with his, I don't know, man. It's
we could do better.
We could do a lot better.
We could do better.
But listen, congratulations to those guys. They're making their money. I want to be in your position one day. I know people think you're hating. I'm not hating. I just don't think they're that good. Congratulations.
Some people have different styles. Some people like different styles. I know people always hate on Joe Bucket and Troy Aikman, but I never really had a problem with him.
Listen.
I never really had a problem with him.
But listen, now they left, we have more of appreciation. Yeah. But before I give you my final thoughts, can we just say that this game being called by these two is not the same as Pat Summerall and John Madden?
Never.
That's what the people remember about this game and the rivalry. That's what made it so great. But I'll say this: if Dallas comes out and they can run the football, play tough defense, DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons has to show up. He wants to be considered the best. He's got to show up. I'll give it to the Dallas Cowboys. 31-14, close game early. Cowboys take it.
I had a little bit of a different number on there, but I did have. It's funny. I actually had 31. I had Cowboys 31, Packers 21. I thought it'd be a good game for a while, and then maybe a small mistake here and there later. But obviously I would like to see a different outcome. But it's a young team that I am proud that they were able to make this playoffs, and I'm. The stink of the Aaron Rodgers years, the last couple of years, I want that to go away. Not the.
I'm so happy it's over.
Not the MVP and all that stuff. I just the drama. So I'm glad that that's over, and I like the way Jordan interacts with his team. I like the way he is in this game. I like what he's doing. He doesn't talk a lot. He just kind of go there and does his thing, and I like that about him. So
he went to Utah State, man.
He went to Utah State. Quiet out there.
And it's not a lot going on in Utah, man.
Yeah, he out there chilling in Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, everybody. Look, once again, everybody, I'd like to thank the amazing Robb Johnson for coming on here. NFL Insider, Cowboys Insider, doing the good thing here, drinking on his Welch's grape juice, celebrating.
See that right there, ladies and gentlemen?
What? Sparkling grape juice.
Sparkling. Rose. Fancy.
The good stuff. So once again, man, I appreciate you coming on. We're talking Cowboys and Packers. Should be a good one. And we'll find out if the Packers shock the world or the Cowboys keep things rocking and rolling. I'm Darrell Lawrence, and that's Robb Johnson right there, man.
Stephen A., I don't want to hear you on Sunday night. I don't care to hear from you Sunday night. My question is, if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, which I don't think they will, what is everybody going to have to talk about then? Because y'all can't come up with no content.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I'd
Except
be honest
when you
with
come
you.
here to the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Rob Johnson Media, where we talk about everything.
We talk about a little bit of
Everything.
everything. Little bit
And speaking of that,
everything.
green and gold over everything.
Over
podcast.
everything.
Everything.
That's
See
my
what I
guy.
did there?
Yeah, I saw you did that. That's my guy, Rob Johnson. I'm personally hoping to see the annual Skip Bayless walking to the trash can and throwing a Dak jersey in the trash can. We'll see if that happens on Sunday or not. I'm Darrell Owens, Rob Johnson. This has been Green and Gold over everything here on the Legacy Maker Sports
Everything.
Network. Everything.